Hello everyone, it is the Redmen podcast, and we got some substitutions in this week, but no means are they weakening the side. We're very much like Liverpool at this point, where we've got incredible individual components to slot into the system, seamlessly continuing the level of quality that was there before. So the equivalent right now of Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz alongside me are James Sutton, the James Sutton. The one, the only, the man, the legend. And equally a man, Ross Chanley. And a legend too. A legend of the Redmen TV offices and the world via our social media account, of course. Ross Chanley, hi. Yeah, we're all good, we're all happy, we're all smiling. None of us smiling quite as brightly as James is on the thumbnail for this, by the way, which was, like, honestly, so we did, just to peer behind the curtain, so we did effectively a photo shoot for the thumbnails for these and for the draft show. And we did it with me, Chris and Steve, and then Ross did his after the fact. And it was a bit like, what face you want to pull and how are we going to do this? Blah, blah, blah. So I walked in with his phone and just went, right, James was taking a photo. James went from like, what to ping! Like, 10 out of 10. Absolute human perfection.
If you point a camera at me, right, it's like a natural instinct.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was going to call for makeup and like checks.
It's great.
He may as well shouted blue steel at you, and he just went boom in the room.
It's like,
Some people have got
smouldering. Yeah.
have I hit my mark? What's my blocking on this one? So yeah, James Sutton, Hollyoaks' own James Sutton. You're a very busy man at the moment.
I'm a very, very busy man. We're shooting a sitcom that we've written in the next few weeks. We start filming at the weekend. Which is just
really relaxing, I imagine.
I'm so chilled about it all. It's totally fine. Writing, producing, directing, and we have a small part in said sitcom is a lot. And also, I have a day job on Channel 4's Hollyoaks, where I'm playing a functioning alcoholic. So
it's a real stretch.
Come here for a break.
I'm really going places with it. So that just consists of me sort of crying and falling all over the place. I actually had to wet myself, not physically, but my character wet himself in a scene the other day. Just to give you a sort of heads up of whereabouts I am in the story.
I enjoy what you're like following your career. Be like, I don't watch Hollyoaks, but I enjoy catching up on your career when we catch up, and it's like following Joey Tribbiani's career through Friends and the Days of Our Lives stuff. It's like, really what did they have to do with this time? It's really like, I fell down an elevator.
I was going to say, I am going to open an episode and be like, what? I'm dying.
I've pissed myself to death.
That's why you should have a hand bottle.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
There's definitely just before we get into the Liverpool chat, by the way, there is definitely a concern because there's like a thing where like a piece of technology and it starts to fail. So like your old CD changes and you give them a dig and then it'll work. But when you start punching technology, eventually you're on the slippery slope. Now, if your character's pissing himself now, it does lend down the path. What's the path? Because pissing yourself, you could recover from that, but like
it's a long road back. I think I go to rehab soon, which might mean James gets a couple of weeks off, which would be super.
Yeah, but you are gonna have to shit yourself in order to air that. Though. So
just
I'm kind of driving out.
When you come back, he's crapped himself on camera.
We've all done it, haven't we?
We've all been there.
We've all been there. Right, Sal, we've got loads to talk about on the podcast today. We're also going to do a podcast extra after the fact. We're taking some more. I mean, if you think us talking about James shitting himself on Channel 4 was maybe a bit much, wait till you listen to podcast extra. That will be following on live on Redmen Plus after this. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the last game, Liverpool Man City. I don't know if you heard, but we knocked Man City out the FA Cup at the semi-final stage. It was glorious. We're going to be talking a little bit about Manchester United and a bit ahead to the Ev as well, and taking a question from one of you guys right now. That is from Sidant Nandokar. It says, would you rather have the current Liverpool team with Rashford as the manager or the 2005 Rafa team with Klopp as the manager? James Sutton.
I don't think there's any argument for me. The joy that I feel watching this current Liverpool team, like from start to finish, from every single position, there's a player there that I just want to watch. And with the arrival of Luis Diaz as well, and it's a really, really exciting team. And there were so many parts of that 2005 team that I really loved. Yeah. The spine of that team was was second to none. And I think because they were sort of there was sort of underdogs in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously we win the Champions League, but that team's not a great side.
Yeah, it's a bit like I've got an irrational love for the film Last Action Hero.
And as right you should, but it's not a classic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a really, really great analogy. I think, look, we're all, they'll always have a very special place in our heart. It'd be very interesting to see what Jurgen Klopp could do with that 2005 team. I mean, I think we'd concede a shit ton of goals. I think that would probably be a given. But yeah, this current side with any manager, we've got such a wealth of talent that there's not a manager that could balls that up, to be honest, apart from Hodgson.
We've seen Manchester United recently.
But they haven't got a manager though. They've just got a fella.
Yeah, they've just got a fella who claims to know a bit about structure of football clubs.
Exactly.
I agree with James, but I also think it'd be interesting to see what Jurgen could do with that side with Steven Gerrard and not try and sell Alonso for Gareth Barry and keep Xavi Alonso in that side and what he could build and what he could do. If it's just one season, it's that.
Yeah,
but if you're going beyond that,
Jurgen would love Gareth Barry, by the way.
I know, but in my alternate universe, he doesn't
sell Barry.
Question, an addendum question here, which I think is an important one. And people asking, and it's cross-court tennis. Well, the entire discipline of cross-court tennis is asking the question: is this 2005 Rafa or 2022 Rafa? And I would argue it's this current Klopp goes back to time travels to 2005, and 2005 Rafa time travels to 2022. And it's interesting because I think this depends on how much you just love Jurgen. So I would be excited to see what Jurgen could do with 2005. But Rafa's
not doing fist bumps at the end of every game, is he?
No, but he, oh my God, he would wipe his glasses so vigorously.
Good win, that lads.
He took them away with a plum after the fact, half time, it's on Saturday. He's tucking them glasses away, and they are not coming back out again. Oh my God, game over. No, so I think it's interesting because I think a lot of people instinctively would go, they'll just follow Klopp because I think the idea of what happens to Liverpool with no Klopp, because it'll be this team without Klopp in it before we know it.
Don't say that.
But Rafa was a brilliant manager, and I always wanted to see what would have happened if he'd just been given the financial backing to carry on his development. Like, Rafa never got the resources that Liverpool have currently got. So the idea of peak Rafa coming in, we wouldn't be as good because I don't think his style of football is as good, but we'd be dead defensively organised, and then he'd just let the attacking lads run riot. We'd still have loads of fun. I just don't think we'd be as good.
I wouldn't want the next Everton manager at the club anyway. That's low, isn't it?
But he's not yet.
What?
2005, Rafa, he hasn't done that yet. He hasn't made them mistakes.
Okay.
My head hurts.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Maths.
Yeah, absolutely. Divergent timeline, God. Right, Sads, let us know in the comments then what would you go for? And yeah, I've actually seen a pretty fair split on this one, to be honest. It would be fascinating to see Klopp go back to 2005 because he'd love some of them mad bastards. He'd like Djibril Cissé. He wouldn't last 6 months at the club, but he would adore him for those 6 months. He'd be his best mate forever, but he'd have he would be gone, and he'd be well after the fact. But the Milan Barros, all that good stuff. Yeah, right. So to keep your answers coming in the live chat if you're watching along with us right now on YouTube after the fact. Don't forget you can always tweet to us at the Redmen TV. Right, we have got a sponsor this week. It is the sponsor we've had for a number of weeks. It's a sponsor we're having lots and lots of fun with. I'm filling time while I find my headphones to plug in. We have got Rhys Andrew on the line as well from Who Knows Wins, who dived in with us last week as well to help us through. Rhys, welcome back. Everyone's doing really well, mate. Are you doing okay? Have you recovered?
And
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I like the way, that Sai just nearly shut the whole podcast down over that. Where, he just went straight to the thumbnail and went, no, done, get off, sound. Right, okay, sound. Okay, well, yeah, we will crack on for a moment. Are you saying we're not getting his audio in?
No, I'm trying to fix it.
Okay, Sal. Sorry, we can hear you, but apparently people in the world can't. So we will go through the scores while we'll side diligently squirrels away behind the scenes to get this working. So for those of you who don't know who knows wins, our partner on the podcast this season, it's an amazing game that you can play on the weekend. We do the Pick 10 League where you enter. There's 10 football games and you have to decide who's going to win or if it's going to be a draw. And the ones with the most takes home the most dough. You don't have to get 10 out of 10. It's not like an acca. It's like an acca, but not like an acca. It's better in that regard. And I think every one of our team now has won some money, I think. Do we think that's right?
I think so.
Maybe Steve hasn't. Maybe
Just Steve hasn't actually, no.
Yeah.
No.
Unlucky Steve. Steve, who of course will return to Redmen, having got married in the week. Very much congratulations to him. And as we said last week, slightly less to his wife. But that's just the balance of things.
She's
really,
made a terrible decision.
we love Claire. She's great. So yeah, we got that. We will go to the scores from last week to find out how we got on then. Top of the pile, Tom Dutton, 7 out of 10. Absolutely astonishing play from Tom there. And then beneath that, we got Ross, Si and Charlie all on 6. And Ross, you guys all hoovered up just a little bit of cash.
I did all right on Saturday. I got 3 out of 4 on Saturday and I was joint 43rd. And then I found myself on Sunday just going, oh, just check that score. And then for 2 weeks on the run, I've backed Arsenal to actually win a game of football. So it's my own fault.
Yeah, 100% your fault. I mean, that's Arsenal all over, isn't it? See, I fell down there and I'm reasonably pleased. I always say, I want to end up middle of the road. You don't want to be last. If you can be first, great, but don't be last. And I had a major problem with my own psychology where I tried to jinx it into my favour, sort of. So I went for the draw between us and City, thinking, well, I think Liverpool will win, but I think it'll be dead stressful and probably go to extra time, which is what I was sort of kind of going for in that regard. And then I just went pure optimism and went for Crystal Palace to beat Chelsea. Like, what a moron. Yeah. Like, you know, they absolutely just wiped the floor with them. It was a very, very comfortable win for Chelsea in the end. So, yeah, I'd have been top if I'd actually not been an absolute moron. So, yeah, I'm basically, what I'm claiming here, just in case you're wondering, is the moral victory.
Fantasy football and betting on football and this sort of thing just shows me how little I know about football.
Yeah, well, just to point out that, and this is the beauty of Who Knows Wins, is that I think you need to have a decent amount of knowledge to elevate yourself above a level. But Charlie, my wife, who is not what one would call a football expert, she's not on camera talent on Redmen. I got one more than me this week. Yeah, periodically. Yeah. So right, we've got Reece. Good to see you, Reece. Yeah, how are you feeling? What did you get this week?
4 out of 10.
Right.
I think this is the first week where I've actually just got level with Chris's score and he's not here, so I can't gloat.
And it's an interesting point because this is it. Chris Pajak, who 2 weeks on the bounce has been going, I've never lost. And I said, pride cometh before a fall. And lo and behold, he's managed to go on holiday in the week that he's lost. But don't worry, ladies and gents. And I appreciate this is very much a visual gag for people listening after the fact. Do come and check out it on YouTube to see this. But Chris has been good enough. You know, we sent the hat out to him. It's not really here next to me in the studio. We sent it out to him to his caravanning holiday in Stoke, and he's graciously worn the hat. He's taken the defeat really well. He's taken the defeat really, really well. He's having a whale of a time with them cows that he made up. Well done, Chris Pajak, who is this week's loser, who knows nothing as our...
He looks like he's turned up to Glastonbury Festival like 6 months early. And he's like, where's the fucking music at?
So the biggest loser this week is Chris Pajak. But he's not really, because he's chilling with some cows.
There was a brief plan yesterday to have that background as the Teletubbies hill. couldn't make it work.
Reece, there was you guys offered up a very generous prize. Those are the people who finished last week. Do you want to just remind people?
Yep. So we said we'd give out £100 for the biggest loser, which ended up being Pajak, which I think is probably deserved considering he gave it the big one even on Twitter. So he he can donate £100 to whatever charity he prefers.
Out of his own pockets, just for being the loser.
Yeah, that's right. But we actually had 4 players get 9 out of 10 last weekend and won £1,634 each. So I can only assume they got the, like Ross said, the Arsenal-Southampton result wrong on that one. But kudos to them. Congratulations to them. I can only imagine they probably won't get that again this week with some of the fixtures we've got.
Well, should we have a look at those fixtures? You want to run
Let's do it.
them, Reece?
Yeah, sure. So we've got first versus second in the Championship, Bournemouth versus Fulham. We've got Derby, who've already been relegated now, against Bristol City. Got Leicester versus Villa. Man City versus Watford. Hopefully they do something there for us.
Yep.
Norwich versus Newcastle.
Sorry, can I just stop? Can everyone just back City to win that?
Yeah.
Just for the karma / jinx of it all. Just, I don't care what you feel. Learn my lesson from this week. Everyone jump on City there. Okay, carry on.
But see, actually, it's the way it works. Because like we said last week on the podcast, we either back the draw or back City. So it's like reverse psychology, which ended up working, but doesn't end up working with the predictions. Yeah. But I suppose I'd rather that outcome. Mm-hmm. But then some of the other fixtures we've got Norwich versus Newcastle. And then into the Championship, Peterborough versus Notts Forest, Sheffield United versus Cardiff City, Swansea versus Middlesbrough, Wickham in League One versus Sheffield Wednesday, and then the late kickoff on Saturday is Brentford versus Spurs.
There you go. Easy peasy. Get them in. Download the app using the link in the description underneath. Obviously, make sure, we've said this before, and I'm sure Reece will be happy for us to say this, but if you're not a gambling person, don't become a gambling person off the cuff or whatever. But if you're the kind of person who is into this kind of thing, kind of person who likes to flutter on an acca, but wants it to be a bit more fun and have that little extra safety net, and also the potential banter of finishing above or below Chris Pajak, then by all means, yeah, download it and get involved and all that stuff. Anything else you want to let us know before we crack on, Reece?
Yeah, well, everyone can download the app using the link in the bio that you guys have in the caption. And like you said, as long, you can only play if you're 18 and over, and please gamble responsibly. But yeah, there's some good fixtures in there. I think with the Championship as well, there's a lot of permutations. A lot of clubs maybe just outside the playoffs, maybe just inside. So we won't see a 9 out of 10 next week. But that could easily be me getting 2 out of 10 and Pajak getting 3. So we'll see.
Challenge accepted is all I'll say on that. Reece, thank you so much for joining us.
Chaps, thank you.
See you, mate.
All the best, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Right. Let's crack on. I'll say the link is in the description underneath. Get involved with that. We're having good fun with it, as you can tell. And yeah, I actually think I'm more happy that Chris isn't here, because that
he can't defend himself.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, just absolutely brilliant. Love to see it. Last time out, we played Manchester City in the FA Cup at Wembley. It was glorious. It was just, from my personal experience, I'm going there, it was one of the best Wembley days I've experienced. You know, we've had a bit of a bad time there. You know, I was trying to work it out. You know, and I didn't go to 2012, but I went to the final against Chelsea. I went to the semi-final against Aston Villa, which was horrendous. I went to the Charity Shield, Community Shield against Man City, which was a bit crap. Obviously, we won the League Cup earlier on, but this was, I don't know, James, it was just great to see Liverpool go there, feel like they belong there, feel like they owned the pitch, the occasion, and go out there and be the best version of Liverpool. They settled the nerves in ways that I didn't even dream possible.
I watched it on TV, and I mean, it's the sound from that you lot made was just, I mean, it was incredible. Yeah. I mean, you could feel it. You could feel it through the TV. It was insane, and I think you know, for those players walking out to that amount of noise and that amount of fans going, I mean, the whole stadium sounded like it was completely bouncing. Yeah. Especially in the first half, it was just relentless, and you could see that the City players, the City fans were just completely shell shocked. It's that Liverpool that we want to see all the time, just coming out and just blowing teams apart in the first 45 minutes. We haven't done that very often this season. And I've been saying for a while now that someone's going to be on the back of like a proper spanking, a proper classic definitive Jurgen Klopp Liverpool performance. And I think Klopp references it after the game as well. I think he says, this is the best first half that I've seen, in my tenure here, or words to that effect. Mm-hmm. And he's absolutely spot on. It was everything that we wanted to see. It was the return of the Sadio Mane that we know he still has that in his locker. It was Thiago doing just all the Thiago things that you just go, oh my God, I can't believe Thiago Alcantara plays for Liverpool Football Club. Yeah. It was that level of performance. Like there's balls dropping out of the sky and he's controlling it with one touch, shrugging someone off and laying a ball off. And it was just sensational. Naby Keita. I mean, there's just so many people across the park that I could, you could single out for praise. But just one of those games, one of those times I'm gutted I didn't go. I had so many opportunities and I had too much work on, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go. I'm going to watch it at home. My God, I regret that decision.
I had a proper busy all day with it, but you're right. Like it was just great, and we're carrying a lot of fear and anxiety, Ross, and we talked about this, I think, over the last couple of weeks. It's been a growing sort of underlying theme to Liverpool's season of we're good at the climb because you feel like it's you against the world and, fuck everyone else and get stuck in and blah, blah, blah. And then now we have an expectation of wanting to be on top. It's nice to be handed something that lets you go, I think this is going to be all right. And last week against City wasn't that, because it just actually exacerbated a lot of the fears. Like when we play well, we're really good. But when they play well, they're really good. Oh God, this is going to be horrible, isn't it? So that you go and put that performance in and blow them away. And I had someone, I was listening to the Totally Football podcast. I think it was Dan Storey maybe on there, and he was a bit like, City were rubbish. I was like, I know Liverpool didn't we scored from a corner, but it's not. I think people go, Liverpool scored from a corner. Liverpool scored more goals from corners than anyone else. Ask any football fan on the planet, are your team good at corners, including Liverpool fans, and they'll say no. They'll say they're terrible at them. So that's a sign of quality for me. We beat them using all of the different strings to the bow that we've constructed over the years. It was almost a perfect Jurgen Klopp performance.
Yeah, and to James's point about blowing teams away, I don't think we've done that with Manchester City specifically for a few years either. You throw back to 2018 in the Champions League was probably the last time we did that. Yeah. I think that's your only chance of beating Manchester City. I think there was nerves and tension in the Etihad game because to me that felt bigger. Yep. And you talking before about the climb, the drop-offs are a lot harder when you lose those games. Yeah. Whereas we did the build-up show for that game, and even pre-match with Errol, I wasn't nervous, but I wasn't also confident either. I just didn't.
You couldn't win the league necessarily. Well, you could, but you could lose it. But it became a must not lose, whereas you can't do that in cup football. Yeah. So it felt more freeing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that helped was the midweek games. So in fact, take it back a little bit further, getting that third goal away at Benfica meant that we could play Manchester City at the weekend after that, but then the midweek we could make 7 changes. Man City couldn't do that.
So they had a horrendous time.
Exactly,
as well.
And then De Bruyne is injured, Kyle Walker's injured, they come in and they have to rotate. But we've managed our squad, I think it's credit to Jurgen Klopp and his team, to put us in a position where we could go to Manchester City in the FA Cup and go, okay, well, I'm going to make another 7 changes, but I'm going to bring in Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, Trent, Fabinho's going to come back in, Sadio Mane's had a rest because Luis Diaz has been playing out on the left-hand side, he can come in, there's competition all over the shop, and the balance of people getting minutes in that Benfica game, that for 20 minutes, half an hour towards the end, and people that need the minutes like Joe Gomez and Tsimikas, you're keeping people ticking over. So when we're coming to the rest of the weeks that are coming up, like tonight, for example, everyone's in a perfect position for me.
Yeah, exactly. It was just, and again, it's funny how when it works, it's sometimes you get like it's dismissed. Well, Liverpool have just got a bigger squad now that Man City's
behave.
And poor old Manchester City. This Pep, he likes a small squad and all that. Since fucking when? Since when? Liverpool like a small squad, and for the once we've actually decided to go a bit harder on it and to get some extra players in. And to have that, and we've also managed the fitness of our players up to this point expertly, particularly compared to last season.
Not just that, but it's all credit to Jurgen Klopp though, and the team that's the people behind the scenes buying these players, because we can't afford to get these decisions wrong.
Yes.
Whereas Manchester City can. When we buy a player for 40-50 million pounds, or a Luis Diaz or whoever, they have to be the real deal, because we haven't got money to make mistakes, whereas City have. So this whole idea, this narrative that poor plucky City with their smaller squad, fuck that. Every single player player in that squad has been bought for a serious amount of dough, by the way, and have to perform. And if they're not, that's on them. It's not on us.
Yeah.
Our recruitment has been absolutely on the money from players like Simicast coming in. You know, across the board, it's just excellent.
You can't spend £100 million on a single footballer whose highlights have been a Gucci deal and getting his hair pulled by Savage and then cry arse about having a small squad.
This is spot on.
Yeah.
This is absolutely the point in this one, because they spent £100 million on Jack Grealish and they can do that. They've got the financial clout to do that. You know, they've got the biggest commercial income in world football history. And they're entitled to spend whatever it is they want to spend based on what
Did
they...
that big flag in Wembley pay for all those seats?
Well, exactly. That I nearly mentioned that, like, in terms of the noise that was rocking at Wembley. There was 2,000 people more at the final the next day, and I get it, they've got to travel loads less far, and I'm digging people out, you know, but the point is Liverpool not only filled their allocation but also got a ton in City's end, and they still had to put a big flag up in the middle of the stadium, and they had that mad ship flag thing that sailed across their thing. It was like the only thing. I'm completely digressing. The only thing Manchester City have got that I'm jealous of is that fucking Poznan celebration, which I adore. Like, you know, and because like,
do they still do that?
Yeah. While we were singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" at the start, they all turned their backs on it. I was like, that's brilliant. I love that. That's a very Scouse thing as well. Like, you know, that I'm a bit sad that we didn't get to like rob that off Lech Poznan before they did. But anyway, we digressed. The Grealish thing, £100 million on a player they didn't need, when there's loads of other positions in that squad that they did. And what did Liverpool spend £100 million on? Less than this season. Kanate scored the opening goal. Diaz, who ran them ragged all game long, and change left over to spare.
They should have bought Harry Kane. That's what they should have done. They should have gone all out for Harry Kane. They should have bought an out-and-out striker of that ilk.
Exactly. And for not far off it, when you consider, I think we paid 36 million for Kanate. We paid just, I think, fractionally less than 50 for Diaz. Yeah. So not far over 100 million. We got Thiago as well.
Yeah.
And they were the three huge difference makers on top of all the other brilliant performances on the day. And that's why they haven't got the squad, because the net difference of what we spent 100 million on to them in terms of improving their squad, that's anyway, because their recruitment isn't as good as Liverpool's, and instead people then are desperate to try and throw it as like a negative. Oh, look at Liverpool. It's like, you're right. Liverpool have had to be perfect and have been perfect and deserve commendation for that. I don't expect it, but like also I when it gets taken away for no reason other than bitter tribalism, I'll stand.
But look at
Man
United and Everton and how much money they spend on throwing money at the problem, and how wrong it can actually go if you don't get it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are very, very, very blessed to have this Jurgen Klopp character and his team. We are incredibly lucky.
Absolutely. I just thought what I thought was interesting about the game, Ross, was, I said this on my post-match reaction video, it felt like the first major outing of the next generation of this Liverpool team, like the next iteration. When you look at what we did in there, and like Thiago's not going to be around forever. We've bought him at the tail end of his career, absolutely. And there'll be others to come, like Jota, to come into that side, for example. But it was Kanate, and it was Thiago, and it was Diaz, and it was Naby Keita finally kind of coming to the party in a big game and lasting it as well. And you got to see, I think last weekend, if Bobby hadn't gotten a little knock in the build-up, I think he'd have started that, and that would have been like the very old school Liverpool. And this felt a very next iteration. It was really encouraging to see. It's not City's best 11, I appreciate that, but us go back to to dominating Manchester City again, because we've added a fresh level of something. It's not it wasn't played out as a stalemate. Liverpool have brought new tricks to the party.
I think a lot of that was some of those players being managed. So Naby Keita's had a good example of that. Of last season, I think he had to play loads of football because there's literally nobody else. Therefore, he gets injured. Whereas now he's being primed to play 1 game, 2 games a week, because we can manage him. We don't have to play 3 times a week and bust a gut each week, and you can train properly and you can play. Therefore, we can get the best out of you. I know there's been loads that have been said about that. That's our best midfield 3, but I've been consistent throughout the season.
Played together twice.
Yeah. But exactly that. But also, I think it depends on who you play. So I don't think we dominate as much if Rodri's there, if De Bruyne's there. We saw at the Etihad when they are there. It's difficult. But I think I like the balance of that squad. When you go to a team and you want to blow them away, I think you have got the perfect balance of creativity. Keita's running with the ball, he's pressing with the ball as well. When he's able to do that, I think he's unstoppable.
Well, what we saw last week, James, was that the thing they had a much more fluid, much more creative midfield compared to ours, and that's a lot of that's just because how Henderson plays that role. Which, works in so many circumstances, but, it would have been interesting to see them play their full strength midfield, because I think it would have given them just as much of a run around, because it was just adding Keita in there makes it loads more attacking. The turning circles are quicker. It's quicker over a couple of yards. It's a bit more dribbly going forward and all that kind of stuff. So I again, to your point before, it's impossible to pick out a Liverpool performance that I wasn't proud about ultimately.
And I thought, and we were crap. We were crap at that City game as well. We came away with a point. That's not, that's a bit of perspective needed. I think, we were crap, then we come out with a point. City, I didn't think City were great, at the weekend at Wembley. But they got spanked, and that's a huge difference. And I don't think, going back to what you were talking about, this new version, this future version of Liverpool, I think it's partly the personnel, but also I think it's partly the situation that we Liverpool find ourselves in right now, with how frequent these huge fixtures are now, week in, week out. And I guess for the players to have that momentum and to have that confidence going into each game on the back of a game that you've done quite well in, or albeit not done well, but come away with a point. That motivation, it just they're on this mad treadmill now, and every 3 days someone throws a fucking pineapple on it, and they have to deal with it. Do you know what I mean? To use some sort of Looney Tunes metaphor, but it is kind of like the cup final thing, isn't it? It was 7 cup finals left, 8 cup finals left. And I guess when you've got that momentum behind you and you think, you're confident going into it, it doesn't matter who plays. The whole squad, the whole team has this ethos of like, we're just gonna fucking go out and blow you out the water. We're gonna win regardless, be it from a free kick or a set piece, a Canate header, or a Sadio Mane wonder goal from a Thiago flick. We're gonna do the business.
I want to talk about Sadio Mane actually. Just brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Incredible.
Insert best in the world meme here right now. Genuinely wish I'd not a shave before that. Like the fucking that lives on forever and ever and ever with Paul double chin unbearded. Thanks so much for that one. Thanks so much for that one, internet. But yeah, Sadio Mane, 8 goals since coming back from AFCON. When everyone's so busy looking at Mohamed Salah and going, oh, what's going on with him and his contract and blah, blah, blah. And Sadio's just come back. Like Salah tired. He played a lot of football. Oh, poor old Mo. So much football. He must be why he's out of form. Man, it's just like Superman coming back 12 feet tall, dominating defences. He is. He's
running 30 yards to close down a goalkeeper on his line.
Honestly.
That's not a man that's tired, is it? Let's be frank.
But he's got that confidence, as you said before. They won AFCON. He's just qualified for the World Cup as well. He's the main man for them. Yeah. So he is on top of the world. Whereas Mo, I think, is the opposite end. But we're all thinking about Mo Salah. So are other teams.
Yeah.
But people forget that. I think someone pointed out at the Watford game, he had 2-3 men on him, and we're all getting frustrated with him because his form is dipped by his standards. He's still the top goal scorer in the Premier League with 20 goals.
Yeah.
We're still taking away from that. Luis Diaz, I mentioned in one of the post-match shows as well, has been good for Mane, because anyone who comes in now, especially when we bought him when Mane was at AFCON, you think he could have come back and he could have been pissed off and going, fucking hell, like, I'm away here and you've replaced me. We haven't replaced him at all. We put someone in his position. Mane's gone in, going left wing, 2 people in front of me, doing the same thing week in, week out. I'll tell you what, just go and play up front yourself for a bit. Go and do that. This lad will play left wing for you. You have a little bit of rest. You go and do your business, and he does.
No, honestly, yeah. I just think he's sensational. I thought it was really interesting how we've all been so focused on Salah that it's just nice to see Sadio, and it's a bit like oh wow, God, yeah, him, yeah, oh, that's me. I was a bit taken aback. I had to go back and check his stats because I'd not really thought about it. He's just been ticking along nicely, and it's like, oh God, his goal return's been absolutely sensational.
That's why people shouldn't worry about Mo Salah, because I think we've had 20 different goal scorers so far this season. And got players off the bench that can come and score goals as well. Konate's got 3 and 3. Mo Salah's goal scoring is only a problem if others aren't scoring and we're not winning games of football. Yeah. It's not the Mo Salah show.
Yeah, check out his running stats. Check out how the distance he's covered. Check out how many passes he's made. These are the important things. He's still making a huge contribution, just not in the right way. And I don't want to dwell on his contract situation, but I'm sure it's having some part to play, this uncertainty behind the scenes.
Off the pitch, I think. But as soon as he crossed that white line, for me, it's not.
He was all right. He was a bit off. He's just, again, it's not for us to worry, because ultimately our concern is actually our Liverpool winning.
Yeah.
Individual performances will come and go.
Yeah.
They always will. And I know we adore Mo Salah. We put him on a pedestal. But that's not the worst thing. It's just not the worst thing for him to not have to be the man who carries everything. It's actually probably quite useful for him to go from Egypt, where he's the only good player in that side, basically, to actually, Mo, don't worry about it. We'll carry it for a bit. You get your head straight. You keep tugging along, because, to your point, he's still drawing the same level of attention.
Yeah.
From rival defenders and what have you. And if everyone else is carrying the weight, we've had this before where Steven Gerrard is our only good player, and if he doesn't turn up, Liverpool don't turn up, and Liverpool have fallen short as a result of it. Now we're in a position where realistically we could just drop Salah and that for a few weeks if we wanted to, and we would miss him because he's sensational. But we'd be able to more competently muddle through at worst. And at best, we might just be sound.
No opposition team between now and the end of the season isn't going, don't worry about him. He's not going to score for a while.
Yeah. He's gone crap, lads. Don't bother marking him. He's sound.
100%. Chelsea in the final then, James? Thoughts?
I'm here for it. I like a Liverpool Chelsea final. It seems, over the years we've seen it many times. Semi-finals, finals. There was that season when we seemed to play them every single week. I like playing Chelsea. I've got a lot of friends who are Chelsea fans. It's a great occasion, and across the board, I think
it feels like there will be a lot of Chelsea fans in the acting community.
There are quite a few Chelsea fans in the acting community. I'll be honest, mate. Yeah, a lot of them, sort of discovered football, sort of 2010.
Is it like a checkbox on like the equity form? It's like, what team do you support? And they've got that the GDPR means they can't share it, but they've got that. There's that data exists somewhere.
You're either a socialist that supports Liverpool or Everton, or you're a Chelsea fan. There isn't any kind of in between. But no, I'm here for it, and I think look, it's a great tie, and I think across the board, I think player for player, I think pound for pound, we're in a much better position than they are. We're a much better squad. We've got much better players. I know they performed quite well, the last couple of games they've played, but I think I can't see anything other than a big result for us.
The only concern I have is they have nothing else to play for.
Yeah.
I think third, we can safely say, is pretty much theirs. I don't think we're not going to get second or first.
Yeah, but they'll have watched the weekend and seen this Liverpool performance and seen this Liverpool crowd and gone, oh shit, not.
But I think they can prepare better, potentially, because they can rest.
Right,
they can rest players in the league. They've got no Champions League.
We'll have, by the time we play them in that final, we'll have had at least 2 more games of football because of the Champions League, which they don't have. So I agree. Yeah. I do. But I'm glad in some regards that the FA Cup it's a little bit earlier. Obviously, it's that as far as weekends go, it's FA Cup final, Premier League, Champions League final after it. I'm more concerned about if we get City and let's say we've won the title and City, and City have had to ease off or something like that, and them not having the FA Cup to throw into that mix. Where have we got enough in the tank come the end of it? But hopefully that it's only a few weeks away, isn't it? It's not
mad. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad, all this.
But I'm not due to play Southampton, weren't we? We have to move it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Liverpool playing 2 games a week now till the only time we're not playing 2 games a week is when the season ends between that and the Champions League final, potentially if we get that far. I think
this is the busiest season that we've ever had at Redmen as well. Mm-hmm. It's impossible to do more if we don't get to the Champions League final.
Yeah.
Isn't it? If we go through the Champions League, we played every game. We play every single fixture. That hasn't happened?
We did it, of course, in the treble season, but obviously it was the UEFA Cup.
Yeah.
I think we played. I think I looked at it last week. I think it was like 62 games. So I think we'll do 2 more this season than we did in the 2001 season. I believe
these are the days, my friend.
These are the days, my friend. I'm not overly enamoured with the idea of playing Chelsea because I think they have got a style of football that we really struggle to be at our best against. But I also think we're the kind of football team that when you've got a style of football that stifles your opponent, I don't know what else you do above and beyond that that doesn't run the risk of destabilising that. And I think I hope, I trust that Liverpool are the kind of team that can add more on top, and we'll figure it out, and because their goal is to figure out now how to undo Chelsea's goal is to stop Liverpool, which they've sort of learned how to do. It's 3 draws with them this season, and our goal is now to like find ways above and beyond that. So
that's when that comes down to individual talent at that point, doesn't it? That comes down to individuals. You know, it's the immovable object and the
irresistible force.
Irresistible. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know,
it's one of my favourite sayings.
I know.
An episode of Knight Rider.
Well, it's mentality as well, because it was interesting the post-match to the Chelsea players. I think Loftus-Cheek said we want revenge on Liverpool, and Mason Mount was like, we need to win a final at Wembley, because I think they've lost. Is it the past five or six that they've all lost? Are they playing the occasion and not the game?
Yeah, definitely. I've also got this little sneaky thing where, because we had a big conversation, we had a big chat about it last week on last week's podcast about like the greatest rivalries, and people are forgetting that Liverpool's rivalry with City goes back to 13-14, and we forget because we had that massive drop-off at the end of Rodgers' reign and Klopp having to climb back up out of that sort of hole. But like this Chelsea rivalry has gone a little bit under the radar because of Manchester City, but it kind of goes back to the Super Cup, doesn't it? Where we were like, that was a hell of a game, and that they run us incredibly close on that, and then we've had some really good games against them since, and then the League Cup final, and the fact that, you know, the first time since '93, isn't it, the League Cup and FA Cup final we've contested between the same teams. There's like a nice like B plot of like I appreciate that, Jim. Yeah,
B strand.
Yeah, absolutely. Where us and this Chelsea rivalry, and that could be the next one to sort of come up. You know, if for any reason Pep Guardiola gets off before Jurgen Klopp does, that could be Chelsea could be the ones that Liverpool are fighting alongside. So there's a nice growing narrative there, certainly. Anyway, just stuff them. That'd be great. Right, we are going to be talking about the Liverpool United and a little bit more on that rivalry and the games and the Evan, all that kind of good stuff as well. But we've got a very short break before we do. We're going to be doing podcast extra, as I say, if you're watching live on YouTube, redmenplus.com immediately afterwards, and it'll be available after that as well in audio form. The three of us asking and answering some more wild questions than we would do on public content. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And we've also got a Boss Live show coming up. Details on that are right now.
Blink twice for yes, love.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I am actually. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Oh God.
This is why this is on YouTube.
To the Redmen TV Live. Yes. Well done, James. Brilliant. Yeah, we are live in the flesh. Redmen live events are back in a bigger way than we've ever done before. It's already, in terms of ticket sales, going to be the biggest attended Redmen event of all time, and it is going to be even bigger by the time it comes around. You're not seeing this? Nope. Have we not sent you the invite yet?
Nope.
You're on the guest list, that's fine. We'll have to make sure that...
What is it?
Ragamuffins.
Oh, nice.
Supported by us at Hotel Anfield the day before the last game of the season. So we play Wolves on the Sunday, the Saturday evening, 6 p.m. onwards. Biggest party on Anfield Road.
I am here for that. Lovely.
You want to be at Hotel Anfield though, because
I won't be here. No. just me. With the
when
party
does the party start, guys? Do get involved. Go to Skiddle if you search the tickets, or the link will be in the description, and you check out the pin posts or whatever on our socials. You'll find all the details there if you need to know more. But yeah, it's 6 p.m. the doors open. We'll be hanging around, bevying, chatting with people. Ragamuffins going to do a little preamble. Honestly,
They're brilliant.
Geniuses. If you don't know, actually, Ragamuffin, so we've all heard the Bobby Firmino, Si Senor song, the incredible like samba version of that, which rocked our world leading up to Madrid. They're the guys behind that. They've got a new album out as well right now with loads of Liverpool songs, which is helping raise money for food banks in Liverpool as well. So get involved with all that good stuff. But yeah, come and see them live. So yeah, Dave Jaggs will be doing a little preamble set. We'll go on, do our shtick for a bit, have a good laugh, chat the Reds and all that kind of stuff, and then they'll come on to absolutely blow the roof off it. And then after that, there's a DJ going on into the wee hours. So we've got you covered. So if you come into Liverpool and you want to, even like for a couple of reasons, by the way, people go on the game on Sunday, sound. Looking for something to do the night before, great. I know a lot of people are just going to come up to Liverpool just to feel it and be close because it's the end of the season. And again, get your tickets booked now because they are flying out in a very, very big way. So yeah, make sure you get it sorted.
It's worth coming just for Chris's walk-on.
Yeah,
alone.
He's
they
never
are very, very famous walk-ons. Chris at live shows.
He's never failed to disappoint his walkout when he comes out for a live show. Chris Pajak.
What has he got? His own ring
well,
music?
No, he varies it up, but he very nearly got thrown out of his own live show. Was that Beer Keller?
It was Beer Keller for basically with the old big room in Beer Keller with all the big tables. He went across all of the tables, and the bouncers basically nearly threw him out before he started the live show. So yeah,
came out to Taylor Swift. I think
he's come out to Taylor Swift. He's come out to Barbie Girl before. Worth the price of admission.
He's a fucking walking meme, isn't he?
He's great.
Like he brings it on himself.
He does. Right, we've got some comments, super chats and stuff to get through before we crack on. La Chill says, morning lads, is our pool of captaincy what can ultimately lead us to all successes, unlike other teams who bizarrely give it to their best player? I think that's a really interesting shout. That I've said this before about like how Jordan Henderson is the best captain Liverpool have probably had for, you know, going back to the era of Liverpool being the best team, you know, in the 70s and 80s, because he's a perfect captain. Whereas I agree, I think teams often use the captain's armband as like a bargaining tool, and we did that with Gerrard. And not that Gerrard wasn't a great captain for Liverpool, but everyone knew that like Jamie Carragher was the de facto captain, I think, at times of that team. He was the voice, he was the loud, angry, shouty one, the taskmaster, as it were. You know, I think a Shearer getting it, Kane getting it in situations, it is a bit like that.
A lot of those are ego things, aren't they, for those players? Where I don't feel like there's a lot of ego in our squad, and I feel like there's leaders all over the pitch. Like if Jordan Henderson's not playing, I mean, you take your pick. You could give it to Virgil, you could give it to Alisson. You know, Thiago's experienced enough. You know, I'm sure he wouldn't mind stepping up. You know, we've got players all over the pitch that would quite happily put on that armband and organise things and marshal, you know, the squad into the formation that they should be playing in without any hint of ego or, you know, oh, look at me with the captain's armband like you get from a Harry Kane. I mean, Harry Kane as a captain, that's round the bend.
Yeah.
That's madness.
Yeah, isn't it?
I think Liverpool for leaders, but also characters in our team as well. I think they're important. Where I don't think you have them in a lot of other Premier League sides. So you throw back to like the mid-noughties, like it was prime Premier League for me. Like Roy Keane, Vieira, Gerrard, all those kind of people. I don't see that at Man City. Like I'd have to a couple of seconds to guess who Man City's first, second, or third captain are because I don't know. Same with Chelsea. Man United is Harry Maguire for fuck's sake.
Yeah, shocking. Absolutely shocking. George Oliver. Thiago and Fabinho are immense, but under the radar. Keita is staying fit, and long may it continue. What a run of games he brings, another dynamic. I agree. And what I've loved about Keita is not... I think back to the Leicester quarter-final in the League Cup when he comes in and he just starts picking the ball up deep on the wing and like slaloming through people. I love that he's got that, but actually that's not the thing I've enjoyed about Keita lately. I've enjoyed how much he's enjoying getting stuck in, and he's just like, he's being gnarly, he's being physical, he's throwing his weight around and stuff. And that was always my concern, was he's a small fella. You know, great having all those skills, but you know, you've got to bring more to the table. You can't just be technically gifted. You either got to be the most technically gifted footballer going and then pacing, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you miss out, and he was in danger of missing out. But I think he's been class.
Playing for a new contract, isn't he?
Never
Is it up at?
You know what?
Another year left.
Yeah, I think he's in that one more.
He's in that 1 year bracket. Yeah, playing for his contract. You know, but Jurgen's never ever like sort of doubted him. I think he's handled him really, really well. He's always gone. You know, listen, I know there's a noise around him because there was, you know, we were all very excited when we signed him. And we signed him in the January. We don't get him until the following season, do we? But we're all very, very excited to have him. And he didn't really hit the ground running. There was a couple of moments, a couple of performances where you felt, oh my God, we've got a serious player on our hands. But then the injury record that he's had has just been really brutal for him. And I don't know whether some of that is a psychological thing. Well, you know, we probably don't know. You know, a la kind of Daniel Sturridge, you know, back in the day, you know, if he had a knock, he just couldn't play. We don't know how difficult it is for Naby Keita. But by God, when he's fit and he's on it, and he's, like you say, he's playing dogged and he's getting stuck in, and he can fucking ping a pass as well. By the way, he's got his head up and he's beating men. He's an incredible footballer.
Yeah,
I think goes back to the management for the back end of last season, because I think Klopp said him and Chamberlain were both fit for maybe in the last 2 months of last season, he didn't play them. And we're all going, just fucking play them. He's like, no, I don't need to because I know I'll get more out in this season. I think the other thing he hasn't got is being missing.
But I think there's a lack of trust there last season as well when he needed to double down on the guys that the tried and tested because we were fucked.
Yeah.
And he needed to go. I need guarantees here, cast iron guarantees of performance, and I need my old school guys to run themselves into the ground. Whereas this season, everyone's bought in. I said this thing about a quadruple challenge, and that's all it is at best at the moment. Is that there's no games that don't matter. So there's no like, oh, you're playing this one, and that means you're in the not as good team. Liverpool going to win every football match now. So the motivation of saying you're playing this game, like there'll be lads playing Man United tonight who weren't involved at all, potentially at the weekend or even the weekend before, and they're in. You're like, playing Man United at Anfield. And we've got to win that if we want to win the league. This is not like throwing a bone to someone because, oh, well, you've been hanging around for a while and good on you.
But if you don't play well, you just won't get picked.
Exactly.
Because someone to take your place as well.
The other lads chomping at the bit.
The other thing on the Kate stuff story as well is he got mismanaged by Guinea quite a few times, but he shouldn't have gone and played there, running ragged, and we came back injured, which is why I'm saying we managed him in the back end of last season by not playing him.
Yeah, absolutely. Just an opinion, brilliant. With Super Chat saying, can we resolve to call it the Klopp-druple? I don't think so, but equally another part of my brain went, that might be the title of this year's book. So, so thank you, Justin. I'll see if it warms. At the moment, I'm not 100% convinced.
It's not great.
Thank you to everyone who sent the super chats in. If you want to send any more in, by all means do. Every single person who watches anything we do on YouTube or drops likes is absolutely amazing, and anyone who chooses to give us money is just stellar human beings. So thank you so much, whether it's little or much. You're all awesome. Thank you. Right. Man United. I want to talk about this. We did this last week on a debate show where we said, like, judge it fairly, not do a combined 11 because it's combined 11s have had the day. But if you had to pick any players from Manchester City who would genuinely improve Liverpool's 11 and vice versa, what would you go with? I want to kind of do this with United, but also I'm not doing this as paywall content because it's nowhere near as in depth because I'm not really sure there's anyone.
It's a brief chat, isn't it?
It is a very brief chat. I'm not sure.
I could make a case for one player, I think.
Who's the player?
So the player, the quality of the player, not the person, the player, would be Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
So I think there's no doubt in his quality, and you can see the lift that he's given Man United over the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I just have doubts. I just think he would have fit into us as a player because he's a massive whinge bag.
Yeah, well, but I think we'd have probably quite liked.
But we pick
I know, but
players on
sometimes
personality as well, though, don't we?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he fits.
Yeah, but maybe that's the team that he's in. But it's the surrounding is of you can't be asked. You can't have the people in our team that is going to spend most time throwing tantrums and throwing their arms about when you need to track back and win the ball. It feels to me, I don't like him anyway, but that's what he does more of than actually play football at this point.
Yeah. I think he's a terrific player, Bruno Fernandes, and I think this is the difference where of the players who are of sufficient quality in their squad, like Varane is of sufficient quality to play for Liverpool. He hasn't got the fitness records at the moment.
He'd be our 5th choice.
I don't know. I think I'm not sure that's the case because I think he's tremendous, isn't he? He's been at Real Madrid. He's only 27, I think, still as well. Maybe just 28. He's great. He's just had a bad run of time of it with injury this year. But you could have said the same about Matip. I think he's on the level, but I don't think he's on Van Dijk's level. But I think he's on the same level as Matip and Canate and Gomez and that. So he would be good enough to play for Liverpool, which, I mean, that might be I've made that sound really disrespectful because he's won like 12 Champions Leagues and all that kind of stuff.
I just remember his injury record. I think he's why we back up there.
Yeah.
I'm going through the United squad now. I'm not just browsing social media. Did you think I was just...
You crack on, lads.
Just on Instagram. No, I'm just going through their squad now and like genuinely, Jaden Sancho, there's someone who we've got loads and loads of promise, and he was such an exciting player when they bought him. He was such an exciting player in the Bundesliga, and you wonder what a Jurgen Klopp would do with a player of that, because that's the other thing. A lot of these and it's very, very rare that I feel any sympathy towards anyone who plays for Manchester United, but I do feel that players like Marcus Rashford, for example, and I love Marcus Rashford as a person. I think he's an incredible human being. I think we'd all agree on that. But there's a player that's just been criminally mismanaged by Manchester United as a business for years. I mean, look at the managers that he's played under. Someone with he's going to look back on his career as wasted potential, quite honestly, unless something remarkable happens in the next few years. A player that's been managed by Louis van Gaal, an aging Mourinho, Ollie, who fucking didn't have a clue, and this fella they've got at the moment. That's not someone who's going to bring him forward. So it'd be really, really interesting to know what Jurgen Klopp would have done with some of these lads.
Totally agree on that, and that's really interesting because so many comparisons to Liverpool's sort of 90s.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And some of those lads obviously grew up above and beyond. Well, Steve McManaman's a good example of this, where he's never lauded as one of the all-time Liverpool greats because, and it was really interesting watching him on the BT coverage talking about like the famous Anfield European nights, and he never got to play for Liverpool in the Champions League because we didn't qualify for the Champions League until 2001, 2002.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
he was well gone, wasn't he?
he was well gone. He losing in like '98, doesn't he, to Real Madrid? He has all his Champions League times at Real, but Man United they've got that crop of lads, and like what someone needs to go. But like Beckham did that, didn't he? In their last crop where he got too big for Manchester United and moved on, and grows beyond that. I wonder whether they've got that, or will they all stagnate because they've all turned on Rashford, which I think is just mad, absolutely mad. It's obviously the Greenwood stuff's very awkward because I think he was another one with a absolutely incredible potential, but clearly a massive knobhead, and how they handle that is another issue, of course. And then they've got other examples, but yeah, it's Rashford under Klopp. I think he'd be perfect fit for Liverpool.
I think there's a few players like...
I'm not really getting that team at this
point.
No,
God, absolutely not. But there's other players like Wan-Bissaka, for example. What Klopp would have done with him, he'd have progressed by now. We'd all be talking about him as this incredible, young talent, who could probably play him in 3 or 4 different positions. But right now, he's just... Again, not wasted potential, but I don't think we'll ever hit the level that we would expect.
The one that everyone always brings up, and I've seen a few examples of it in the comments, people always go Pogba, and they go like, what will Klopp have done with Pogba? And I think it's a really interesting question because he's at a point now where he goes under the radar, that he delivers decent numbers most seasons in terms of goals and assists. Although I think it's funny that he's got like 9 assists this season, and I think 6, 7 of them came in the first month of the season. So like his stats look good, but they don't tell the full story of what his output's been like this year. And everyone was just like, imagine Klopp got hold of him. I don't know enough about Pogba to know that he's got that raw drive where he could switch it all off and and focus on the footy and stuff, because he always, for me, will forever be, and this isn't all his doing, by the way, like we played at Old Trafford and he had like a little graphic of himself going round.
It was the emoji, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Pogba emoji with the mad haircut, and he had like a mad haircut to specifically for that game, for that, and you're just like,
that's Man United though, isn't it?
Not it's Man United all over. Yeah, it fits perfectly with them.
He epitomises everything that's kind of gone wrong with Manchester United. I don't profess to watch him every week, but I haven't seen a Pogba performance in a very long time where I've gone, fuck me, he's still absolute mustard.
Yeah.
And we were still having the same conversations. If he's not achieved his potential, he needs ex-midfield to unlock him.
Yeah, that's a constant thing, isn't it? It's a constant conversation.
It's never happened. And I think the other day, he got booed off and he cut his ears to the Man United fans at the end of the game. It's like, do you really want that in your team?
We were joking with Reece before, because he was talking about the West Brom Forest game or whatever it was. Then he was saying like Andy Carroll. And I was like, Andy Carroll's one of those lads who, you're forever 22 in your head. How old's Paul Pogba?
27.
Yeah, 27, 28?
29.
Is he 29?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's in the same. He's a year younger, but he's in that same sort of age bracket as De Bruyne, as Mane, Salah, Firmino, and they're lads who are all at the absolute peak of their powers, or having had these stellar careers, reached these heights. You can argue, are they going to start to tail off or whatever? And everyone's still waiting around for Paul Pogba to have this transformative season where he goes and grabs it and does whatever.
I think a lot of United fans still defend him. I know United fans are still like, there's a couple of lads at work, they're always like, oh yeah, but he won that World Cup, didn't he? You know what I mean? He's a World Cup winner.
Hugo Lloris and he's shit.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Jimmy Traore won a Champions League.
Yeah.
What's your fucking point?
We like Jimmy.
We won't hear a bad word.
I know, but wasn't the world's best left back at the time? Was he? It's not the same conversation.
Absolutely not.
No, I agree. I think that the World Cup thing doesn't half like obscure that a lot of the times. Like, well, look at this photo of him with the World Cup boss.
Yeah. What's he done since?
Exactly. But and you could argue again, it's the team thing, and you do need players. Liverpool have got a lot of lads who I'm not sure all of the Liverpool best 11 or 15 or 18 or whatever would be as good if you individually plucked them out and put them in other teams. Would they elevate? Would they drag other teams along the way? I'm not 100. Andy Robertson gets stick when he plays for Scotland because he's not. Like, because Scotland's just different. You play left. It's a different left back position when you play for Scotland than you do for Liverpool, of course.
Just to pull on the thread from what James was saying before, I think Mark Goldbridge made a point a couple of months ago between Klopp and basically Manchester United, and it goes back to a piece that Carragher did of Liverpool don't buy stars, they make stars. But even the stars that we bought, and say Alisson, Van Dijk, have still got better. Go back through Man United the past 5 or 6 years, or probably since Ferguson left. Anyone they've bought, none of them have got better.
And the difference is with those though. You say that we spent big money on them, but they weren't stars.
That's what I mean.
That was the cost of what it took to extricate them from
Sadio
the clubs
Mane wasn't a star.
Exactly. We paid good for the time, really big, good strong money to get the right guy. But there were other right guys out at the time. If you wanted to spend, Alisson broke the record for the goalkeeper transfer fee for the goalkeeper, but like Neuer was still the best goalkeeper in the world at the time. Well, yeah, exactly. And then obviously Kepa goes and does it, and like Kepa is to Alisson what Maguire is to Van Dijk in that regard, where you've then got to go, you can go and spend big money and get it wrong. But United still do that thing where they care about the commercial revenue, still go and get the guy with the biggest profile.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Exactly that. And you have those things time and time again. And this is why people on social media were so downbeat about Liverpool's chances in the summer, and pundits all fed into it, and they thought they were reading the room of Liverpool fans. We all got sucked into this, like the transfers the be all and end all. It's not. Transfers don't. You don't winning. You can now win a transfer window and win fuck all in the season that follows it. Liverpool exactly. Liverpool haven't won a transfer window. Maybe we won this January, just gone great. But like in the way and that way that it's a thing. We've had underwhelming transfer windows by the standards that the transfer window demands you should have, and ever going back all the way to Kiev. After Kiev we had a good one because obviously we went and got Fabinho, we went and got Keita, and obviously we get Alisson, and we really kick on. But then after that, we brought Elliott in and Adrian in, and we brought exactly, we brought a few bits and pieces, but they've all contributed towards elevating the whole. United just go ooh, how much? What does he bring? How many shirts is he going to sell? How many t-shirts is he going to sell? On the side to that,
all the players that haven't worked out at Man United, like I forget, Di Maria was there. Yeah. Briefly, Alexis Sanchez.
Like Juan Varane was the best Premier League example of that, where he was a huge star and they had to go and get him, and he just didn't fit what they were looking for at all, and so they move on, and yeah, it's a law of diminishing returns when you do that. Right, I just want to briefly mention it. Obviously, we talk about the United stuff. Obviously, it's a weird one, a total shift for us or whatever, but obviously we've seen the news about Cristiano Ronaldo. One of his newborn twins passed away, which is just horrible, horrendous. So obviously all the best feelings. Football is just one of those things. I think it gets lost sometimes because of tribalism, that things are more important. You got to remember, football's it's a game. The most important is the least important things, as Jurgen Klopp sort of said, and so we do take it, and we take it above and beyond. I had a great line about I was listening to the Have a Word podcast with Jason Manford, and he was referring to like an old sketch, and I'm paraphrasing about the lines about like how, like, where you're from and that like tribal rivalry with other cities and all that is just about a level of intelligence. Above a certain level of intelligence, you realise it's quite fun and it's quite funny. When you get below that, it becomes really angry and gnarly and the kind of things that people fight over. And that's my point on football, is that Liverpool are going to play Manchester United. I've no idea how we're going to treat Ronaldo. I don't want to get on this virtue signaling thing of we should all be doing a minute's applause or whatever. I'd hope he gets I'd like to think that he doesn't get like horrendous torrents of abuse or whatever based on the back of this. But I think everyone's a reasonable person to know that these are just human beings, and we go, oh, he's shit, and we give it all the beans every day of the week, and then something happens to remind you,
Human.
I'd be I'd be shocked and surprised if he gets, dogs abuse.
Yeah.
I will be really, really shocked.
But to the point, there'll be a 90-minute confrontation between two big rival fans, and when the football's on, and then hopefully there can be nice things, because you don't going to applaud him when he's playing football, but it's.
And from the talk about the occasion as well. This is not Liverpool playing Manchester United. Of old. This isn't a huge. This is just another must-win game for us. It could be fucking anyone. It could be Watford. Could be Manchester United. Doesn't matter who you put in front of us. We're there to do a job. We're there to win. We're there to compete for another trophy. That's it. Yeah. There isn't. That's the only sort of narrative around it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's great. I'm back on the United thing. I'm just really looking forward. I genuinely get so much enjoyment out of United being crap. I think it's an absolute pleasure, and long may that certainly
delicious.
Continue. It is. We've had to live through it. We lived through years of them just being on top, and it's just when the shoe's on the other foot, it feels great.
Yeah, they ruined my childhood. Fuck them.
Absolutely. Right, the Ev coming up at the weekend as well. Another one, just a grand disappointment on so many levels. Burnley have pulled the trigger on Sean Dyche. They're 3 points behind Everton. Everton have got a game in hand. They should be fine. But I like the fact that obviously they've got to play us, and we've got the chance to just keep them sweating a bit. I'm happy to keep Everton sweating. I'm not so arsed for them going down, to be honest. If they go down, it's nothing to do with whether I want them to go down or not, and I'll defo have a giggle at it. I'm not sure I necessarily want us to not have a Merseyside derby anytime soon.
I don't mind. I don't mind contributing to relegation, and I don't mind contributing to Man United getting Europa Conference League tonight either.
That is the win-win for this week. Is that if we can keep our season going and we can make it more likely that they play Conference League football and Everton get relegated, then that's a magic week as far as I'm concerned.
Man United have got a big week as well. I think they got Arsenal at the weekend as well, and given the results, Arsenal lost, Spurs lost.
Biggest rivalry in the Premier League history.
Battling out for fifth place.
Arsenal with their no European Cups, and United only just starting to win league titles. What a rivalry, historic.
Andy Mitten.
One for the ages, yeah. Absolutely. Martin Keown once jumped in Van Nistelrooy's face. Remember that? Remember that, kids? Biggest rivalry ever.
Someone threw a piece of pizza.
Someone threw some pizza. It was wild. It was a mega rivalry. Hopefully, this is the thing, James. Both of these teams are out to spoil.
Yeah,
that's their new biggest reason to exist this week. Gives them a bit of motivation, gives them a bit of unity, something to focus on. Focus all of their hatred and focus it on Liverpool and doing that.
I mean, it's been a really, really joyless season for Everton and their fans, and the whole place as a whole has been the proper pit of misery this season. This is their only real opportunity, because there's no joy in not getting relegated when you're Everton. There's no joy in that. That's just relief, and thank God.
But it'll feel like joy, because relief can feel that feel that way. But
over.
They don't recognise joy anymore. Is what I'm driving at.
They've forgotten what joy is.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's no flares. There's no flares being let off. There's no. The pubs aren't going to be filled with Evertonians having a wonderful time because they didn't get relegated.
Can't lose if the season's finished, though, James.
This is true. But this is that. So my point being, this is probably one of the few fixtures they've got where they can actually have a bit of a good time and hopefully go into it with, some excitement and think, how amazing it would be to spoil Liverpool's title hopes. That in itself for them is motivation enough. So they'll be bang up for it. They'll be excited. And we need to put them. We need to make it very, very clear, very, very early on in that match, that they are not here to spoil any party, and they are going home as miserable as they should be.
Yeah, absolutely. To that point, there's a famous story about when they stayed up and when the Gareth Farley goal last game of the season, and Danny Cadamarteri was in the Sefton pub in West Derby and got sparked because he was stood there with a big cigar on the fruit machine like he was cock of the walk as they'd stayed up. And
Everton just knocked him out.
No, I think it was a Liverpool fan. Because he was giving it to Billy Big.
I was that was my first thought.
This was the 90s when before, you know what I mean? Before Evertonians fell in on themselves in their own hatred and bile. So that'd be interesting to see how they do. I think they will have big parties, but it will be like oh yeah, we're big party, and they'll look on as this Liverpool juggernaut party hanging over the little blue flares, and then they'll look up and the sky will be red.
Yeah, exactly. They'll have to get the party in early because there's going to be potentially 4 buses going around Liverpool.
Oh my God. Absolutely amazing. Sounds. Right, we have got Podcast Extra coming up, as mentioned. We're going to be we have a very short toilet and drink break, and then we're going to be heading into that on Redmen Plus. So we've got a bunch of questions, some that I literally can't read out publicly. So we'll do a bit on that. But basically, I want to talk about what a massive moron Jack Grealish is. And it's better to do that behind the paywall than out in the public. There is, if Liverpool's was a box set on Netflix, which seasons would you skip? Would you rather have to read the terms and conditions every time you're prompted to, or have to ask your parents for permission every time you have sex, and more? That is to follow on Podcast Extra, exclusively on Redmen Plus, which is available in video form live, and after the fact on demand, and of course after the fact in audio version as well, which you can get directly into your native podcasting app. So yes, that's it from us. Do check out Who Knows Wins. The link is in the description underneath. We're having a boss time with that one. Do come over to redmenplus.com and get extra Redmen content, or if you just want to support what we do here for free on YouTube, it is our equivalent of Patreon, but with loads and loads and loads of extra content. It's like a Liverpool streaming service for your eyes and ears. Thank you, James. Thank you, Ross, and thank you to all of the wonderful people who've joined us live, podcast live every Tuesday at 10:30 on YouTube, so make sure you click that notification bell to be notified for that one. Anyway, all the best. See you soon. Ta-ra.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out that video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want even more Liverpool goodness in your lives, head on over to redmenplus.com now and sign up to Redmen Plus. We've got interviews, features, documentaries, as well as our vast array of weekly shows. So yeah, redmenplus.com, sign up to Redmen Plus now.